Greetings everyone and welcome to a new video. This is gonna be about my new NAS build. I have plenty of storage on my home server, but for other stuff like games and media I don't really care about losing. Since I'm using second-hand hard drives, I wanted to build a NAS. And this is my process, how I went through it with the Raspberry Pi and Radxa Penta HAT. It's quite an easy build if you want to do it, so let's get straight to it. Okay, let's start first with the Raspberry Pi 5. I got this, God, I don't remember, somewhere in Europe. They got really expensive lately. This is the 8 gig RAM model. I think I paid like $100 for it, something in the ballpark, which honestly is a bit more than the recommended retail price. But anyway, here we are. Raspberry Pis be expensive. And added to the order, I also added the active heatsink, sorry, for it. This is it. Apparently everybody recommends getting a heatsink at least, even if it's a passive one. But I got the active one, which is apparently very good. So let's first of all fit this in the Raspberry Pi. Something on the fan header. I don't know if you can see it. Is it plugged or something? Right here. Okay, that's a bit weird. Yeah, it was plugged, maybe for protection. Who knows? But yeah. So let's start off by peeling the protective film. And how does this go? I'm thinking like this. Yeah. And the rest is just push pins. There's one, and there's the other. And let's plug in the fan. There we go. Let me push it down with something. I'm not sure I got it all the way in. It's okay. So that's the expensive Raspberry Pi. If the Raspberry Pi is a bit too rich for your blood, apparently this ROG 2F is also compatible with the Penta HAT. This is way cheaper, but last time I checked it was out of stock. I think I paid for this one, I don't even know what version this is. I think it's the 4 gig model with Wi-Fi 6. It's an alternative to Raspberry Pi, but this is a very cheap one, like $28 I think I paid for it. But as you will notice, there is no Ethernet jack, so Wi-Fi is not exactly the best to use for a NAS. But you can use one of these. These are quite cheap. Maybe you have one of them lying around. USB to Ethernet adapter, 10100 Ethernet. Again, it's not going to be the fastest thing ever, but again, depending what you're looking for, this could be a viable option. If you're just looking to store your photos or view movies out of it, it's going to be like a media server NAS. It's going to be perfectly fine. Plenty of speed for that, for your TV or streaming stuff. But if you're looking for like video editing and on the fly and stuff like that, then probably this won't do over a USB. But these are very cheap. This one I got for another project I have in mind, but that's a video for another time. Cool little board, very cheap, but yeah, currently out of stock. Keep an eye out, they might appear soon. Next, let's look at this. This is the Radxa Penta HAT. This is the Raspberry Pi version, obviously. You can get other versions compatible with the RAD's stuff, like the ROG 4 or some other kind of single board computers. So let's look what's inside. We have an eSATA cable. This is the 5th hard drive, if you want to add it. Normal SATA and power. We have 2 PCI Express cables for the PCI Express connector on the Raspberry Pi 5. 2 of them in case you break them, because they're quite fragile, and knowing myself, I bought an extra one just in case, because I'm pretty sure I'm gonna break one. So I bought 2 extra ones. They were pretty cheap. This extra ribbon cables were $7, $8, so quite cheap. The Penta HAT, this one I don't remember. I think it was like $50, 40, 50, something in the neighborhood. I'll put some links in the description if you're interested in one. But yeah, not expensive, but not cheap either. But for what it is, it should be fine. So what else we get? We get a bag of standoffs, so we can attach it to the Raspberry Pi. Some clear plastic holders for the hard drives. Do we have hard drive screws? I think we do. Yes, we do. Great. Keeps me from digging into my box of parts. And here we have the Penta HAT with the riser for everything. So this would connect temporarily for the moment, something like this with the Raspberry Pi. Yeah, but I think I saw this online. There's not a lot of space. So these three fins on the heatsink, they need to be removed because of the power connector. As far as I know, let's try to get this off. Now it's fighting me. Okay. You can power it via 12 volt barrel jack or via Molex connector, but I don't have a Molex power supply. I think there's some power spots. No, there aren't any. I'm guessing you can remove this and directly solder to the connection points, but I'm not going to do that. I'd rather just snip off the last three fins from here. So let's do that now. Okay, I think that should be enough. Let's try that now. Yep, that looks okay. Everything's straight. So yeah, once you supply 12 volt power to this, the Raspberry Pi will take power to the GPIO header from the Penta HAT. As far as hard drives are concerned, because I'm going on a budget here, even though I have a Raspberry Pi 5, I ordered online some second-hand 2.5-inch hard drives. All of these are 500 gigs. I think there's two models. There's like a shop online that basically disassembles old office stuff. So I got 3 of the WDs and 2 of the WDs and 3 of the Seagates. I have some more hard drives somewhere in the house, but I wanted them to be somewhat similar. I have different sizes. I have one 500 gigs, one 320, a couple of 160s. So this gives me a lot of options. These are really cheap, especially where I bought it. I think it was like $7-8 each. So anyway, I'm not going to use the NAS for any kind of important storage, so this should be fine. And the way the hard drives would go here is, be like this. And the fourth one. And these things, let me put it on the side, not force it too much. This will keep all of them nicely connected and in parallel. So let's do that now. While we're at it, make sure we don't break or put too much tension on any of the connectors. Actually, do these have any kind of protective film on them? Maybe I should have checked that first. Yes, they do. So let me remove that. Guessing this is laser cut acrylic. So it gets scratched really easy. let's remove this now. I'm using hard drives, regular laptop hard drives, because I'm going on a budget here. If you have the budget for SSDs, definitely go with that, but price, I mean, depending. If you're looking for a long-term solution, which I'm not, I already have my my home server for that, for long-term storage with new hard drives. This would be more of a temporary storage for Linux ISOs and games and stuff like that, big files that I don't want to necessarily store on my main server, and that I also don't necessarily care if I lose them. I can always find a way to get them back, unlike my photos, which I keep on my main server. Okay, but you can definitely go with this SSDs. Again, prices haven't come down enough for me to do that, but again, for my use, this would be fine. Okay, and the other side, this one has a cutout in it. I think it's for, there's an extra module that you can put on top with a fan and an OLED screen for status and stuff like that. I didn't get it. It's an extra cost. It's not that much, but for my purposes, I don't think I'll need it. That's why this thing is a bit cut out differently. So let's just install it like this, I guess. Haven't looked at the manual, but it makes sense. Oh, that's it now, all safe and secure. So let's try and remove the Penta HAT for a bit, so we can install the standoffs. I'm guessing they go like this. Socket key would be nice. Socket for these small, what are M5, I think these are, but I ain't got one, so hand tightening will do. Again, it's mostly for aesthetics and keeping things separate. It's not like you're gonna take this in your backpack somewhere, or maybe you would. It would make a great portable NAS drive, take everywhere with you. If you go, I don't know, like on remote shoots, let's say if you're like a wedding photographer or something, you can bring your laptop, and if you don't have enough storage, just plug this in, and then you have potentially 8 to 10 terabytes. I don't even know what size SSDs there are nowadays, but I'm pretty sure you can find 4 terabyte ones in this 2.5 inch size, so that will give you a lot of storage. Okay, and another one here. Yeah, much better. Now it sits in perfectly. And now screw in the rest of the standoffs. Now, I'm really wishing I had a socket right now for these. I don't, so let's use my throwaway pair of snips to tighten things down a bit. The correct way of doing it, but hey. Should I have installed a... Yeah... I think I should have installed the... Yes. The PCI link cable first. Make it easier to put it on. Well, guess we'll do it now. So let's see how fast I can mess this up. Hopefully not too much. So this would be the PCI connector for the Raspberry Pi. Just pull up on the tabs slowly. And as far as orientation goes, I'm not exactly sure I'm guessing it's this way since the contacts are on the other side. Hang on, because I don't want to take this off again. Let me look at the manual really fast online. Yeah, my guesses were correct. So, black side on this part. Seat it in and then push the little connector down. I'm guessing that's enough. Yeah, looks okay. Just like the manual said, you can still see a bit of the black part on the ribbon connector. Let's connect it here. And this is oh yeah. So this would go like so. It made it a lot easier if I didn't put the hard drives first. Guessing it's okay to bend it this much. Should be. Let's try and get it in. Okay, I think that's it. Sorry, can't exactly show you, it's very finicky. Okay, I'm guessing. Is it in? Yeah. Now it's fully seated, and I'm guessing this thing keeps it secure. Click them down. Yeah. Okay, now easily, carefully bend it the other way. And connect the GPIO. Good. All the way in. And now we can finish installing the rest of the standoffs. Okay, so that's it. We got a few extras in the box, I guess. That's it. Raspberry Pi with the Penta HAT. Quite a neat package, quite compact. It's called a Penta HAT. You can add a 5th hard drive, but we'll have to connect it with the PCIe cable. So it will go something like this. And then connect your other hard drive like so. And I don't know, put it somewhere, I guess. I'm thinking I'm gonna build a box for this to keep it somewhat contained. And I'm gonna use it with 5 hard drives. A fan would be nice, but I'm thinking I'm gonna add this a bit later on. For the moment, I'm gonna run it while I set everything up until I build a box. I'm gonna run it without any case, just in open air. So yeah, that's it. Just gonna go need to find a 12-volt power adapter, and I think I have a few of them laying around, so let's go do that now. So starting off at the computer, we'll download and run Raspberry Pi Imager, where we're gonna select our device, what we have, Raspberry Pi 5 in my case, as the OS Raspberry Pi OS Lite. System doesn't have a GUI or SD card, and then we're gonna edit the settings. So make sure everything is set up. The host name, choose whatever you want. I choose NAS. The username and password, make sure it's secure. So this way everything boots up on the network and you can access it remotely without having to plug in a monitor while everything is while you're setting up everything. Make sure you enable SSH and able to do that, and change any other options that you might want to have, but for me this is what I needed. Would you like to apply? Yeah, click yes. You want to erase it? Yes. Make sure you have no other data stored on the SD card. And let's speed our way through this now. Once everything is written to the card, remove it. Going back to the NAS that we built, plug in the SD card on the bottom. Then we're gonna plug in our network cable and straight into the router, and then our 12-volt power supply. I found a 3 amp one, which works just fine.
And how this is set up with the Radxa Penta HAT, everything boots up automatically and the Raspberry Pi turns on as soon as you connect power. The first boot will take a while, it'll take a few minutes, if not even more, before it shows up on the network. Make sure you plug in all your hard drives all the way. Don't be like me. Now, heading back to the computer. In order to find out the IP, I'm gonna access my router, the IP of the Raspberry Pi, and I'm gonna go into clients. Your interface may vary, but you'll figure it out, and there it is. But in order to make sure it always has the same IP address, if I'm gonna use it on a network, we're gonna have to go into Advanced and go into Network and DHCP server and assign it a static IP address so it always has the same IP address. I'm just gonna select it here and I'm gonna assign 200 so it's easier for me to remember. And based on the MAC address, that's the IP it will always have on booting up and connecting to the network. But that won't happen until the first restart. So for now, let's just copy the IP address and open up PuTTY or your favorite terminal client and access the Raspberry Pi. Accept all the security and log in. Then before we proceed with any kind of installation of OpenMediaVault, we need to make sure that everything is configured, including the Radxa Penta HAT, which won't show up at the moment since the PCI link for the Raspberry Pi is disabled at the moment. In order to enable it, we're going to access the config file and add this line at the end, which will enable the PCI Express. Yeah, as we can see, the hard disks don't show up. So we're going to do a quick reboot. Once back in, logging in, if we do the same command, list block devices, now all our hard drives will show up. Let's run a quick speed test on the hard disks. And as you can see, it's like around 100 megabytes a second. And that's not fast enough, but if we go back into the config file and add this line, this will enable PCI Express Gen 3 for the Raspberry Pi, which as far as I know isn't officially supported, but it works just fine. Save it, reboot, obviously. And then if we run the same command to test the speed of the disks, we can see that it went up to 142 megabits a second, which is quite the improvement, and you should definitely enable it. Now we're going to update the Pi. Sudo apt get update to update the repositories. Then sudo apt upgrade to make sure we update all the software. This will take a while. It took around 10-15 minutes if I'm not mistaken, because who knows since when the Raspberry Pi OS hasn't been updated, the one that I downloaded. Then we're going to install OpenMediaVault using this command, since I couldn't get wget to download the script. But anyway, this was completely automatic. Just the commands will be in the video description down below. Just let it finish. Again, it might take a little bit. Once it's done, the Raspberry Pi will reboot by itself. And if we go back to the computer, using our browser, navigate to the IP address of the Raspberry Pi, we'll be greeted by the OpenMediaVault interface. Default username and password is admin, and password is OpenMediaVault. I highly suggest that you change them right now. More updates. So yeah, let's go update these now. Again, this took a little bit. Let's get through it. Once that's done, let's go into System, Plugins, and from there we'll install OpenMediaVault MD, which is multiple devices, so we can create a software RAID for our hard disks. Click on it, then install, confirm, yes, and this should be done pretty quickly. Once that's done, if we go into Disks, Multiple Devices, we should be able to create our RAID 5. But in my case, because they were second-hand hard drives, they were already used, so they didn't show up. So I would have to wipe them. So if we go into Disks, select the disk, and then you can wipe them. I was trying to be smart to do multiple at once, but it doesn't let me. So I had to wipe each and every one of them individually. Once that's done, we go back to multiple devices. Now all my hard drives will show up. Select all of them that you want to create a RAID with. In my case, it's RAID 5. Save. And then it's going to start building the array, which will take a while. So give it a minute so you can have full speed. You can actually start using it right away. Don't forget the top to confirm changes, the check mark, and let it do its thing. But we can still use it, so let's go create a file system, since we'll need one to use it. The disks are now blank. In my case, I'm gonna go with ext4, select where the hard drives that we're gonna use, save, and it's gonna create the file system. So if we go back to file systems, we're gonna need to mount the file system. So just click on mount, select the multiple device, the RAID that we just made, and click on save. Don't forget to configuration changes to click it. And now the file system is mounted. We're going to enable in settings Samba because I'm using a Windows laptop. I mean, you can use it with Linux, obviously. Just click on enable, and I'm going to use guests allowed and any other option that you might need. But this is what I needed in my case, so I'm just going to save it. Once that's done, if we go back to storage, multiple devices, you can see the array is still building, but it should be just fine for the moment. So let's start using it. We're going to go to File Explorer, click on the 3-button menu, and click on Map on Network Drive, input the IP and everything, and it's not working. I didn't know why. I clicked Guests Allowed, but it didn't work, even with the password and user. It still wouldn't work. Give me this error because policy access or whatever. A bit of Googling, I found out how to change that. So if we go into GP Edit, the group policies, click on Computer Configuration, All Administrative Tasks, Network, Daemon Workstation, and Enable Insecure Guest Logons. Click that on Enable, and now it should work. So there it is. The NAS array finished building, and let's copy some files to it to test the speed a little bit. I have some video clips actually from this video that I'm shooting right now. These are around 27 gigabits, so let's try and copy it. We're getting around 80 megabits a second, which for me that's perfectly fine. It's more than I need once the speed stabilizes. And this is over Wi-Fi. I'm not connected with the network cable, but if I am connected directly with the network cable to the router, I'm getting around 130 megabits a second, megabytes. So, which for me is really, really great. It's more than I need at the moment. If I do need to change it in the future, there are 2.5 gig adapters for the Raspberry Pi, so maybe that's something to consider. But yeah, that's it. Hope you enjoyed the video, and see you for the next one.